Yo, yo. Yo, yo. Good. We're chilling. We are Bing chilling. Super chilling. I gotta go soon, though. I'm gonna be busy for the rest of the night, probably, and then tomorrow, God's sake, I'll be busy again. I don't want to be busy. Let's fix this fucking camera. Being busy is very not fun. Let's see if this thing can even pick up the focus. Ugh, it's terrible. Focus! Why is it not focusing? What can I do? It's good enough, whatever. Yo, yo. Let's see. Well, that's just kind of the hobby sometimes, you know? That is sometimes just the hobby. I need to try and find a better glue. The only two plastic glues I use are, like, really, really inconvenient. I don't like them. Like, one of them is pretty standard, but the GW one, it's just so tacky. And it doesn't really come out properly. It is not my favorite. It is not my favorite glue. No, I've got Tamiya. Except it's Tamiya extra thin. I know Tamiya makes different ones, but I need to probably eventually pick one up that isn't super thin and then try that. Because it might just be straight up better. Yo, yo. The problem with the Tamiya super thin is that it just goes everywhere. It's like water. If you need very specific areas for it to be, it just won't be there. I need a glue that's just not going to move when you put it down. For very specific things. Well, we'll be here for a little bit. Maybe like an hour or two. That's about it. That's all I can spare, unfortunately. There will be a day in this location where I will wake up and be able to stream every day without stopping to do something. That's like the most ideal thing that I've been waiting for so long. Because this channel's about to hibernate for another, like, 3 months. Yeah, I do. I don't really like 40k right now, but I do. I think what I should put in the title is more of like... Here. Old World 40K AOS. Even Lord of the Rings, though. But whatever. Age of Smegma. I mean, from a gaming standpoint, Age of Sigmar is really fun. It's very straightforward. It's very relaxed. You're just kind of in it to have a good time. There's no, like, sweat. There's no grease. $40K can get, like, super sweaty. It doesn't matter what's really good to start with. You kind of just start with whatever you like. Everything is good to start with if you like it. I think if you want to get into Warhammer, don't overthink it. If it looks good and you want to get into it, just do it. It should never be looked at as, like, what's easy for beginners, because what the fuck, who cares if it's for a beginner? If you don't like it, don't do it. Like, do the things you enjoy, right? If you like the Tyranids, everything is kind of the same. It's all physical hobbying. It's time-consuming. Well, it doesn't happen often. I have a backlog of, like, a lot of weird bits and things, so I can replace parts periodically, but sometimes you can't. Painting Dad, thank you, bro. Thanks, buddy. Because I think when it comes to, like, any sort of physical hobby, I don't think it's a matter of, like, what's easy. You know, maybe if you want to... If you're giving it to, like, a child, I don't know, like 15 years old, and you're saying, like, oh, here's some Space Marines, and here's some Tyranids and shit like that, maybe you want the push-fit stuff, but, like, if you're an adult, and you've got, like, adult time and adult money, you can basically build anything, right? It's just like an advanced Lego with more steps. Because it's not like each part's going to fit properly. You kind of need to clean each of them up and then glue them all together. But they're usually all similar in, like, how you put them together. You know, you'll still have to, like, cut pieces out, clean pieces up, glue them together, so on and so forth. They do make, like, beginner sets that are more involved with, you know, less steps, but the interest in those sets are typically because they're a lot cheaper. Most people who do the hobby kind of want to, like, customize their stuff and make things different. Make everything look unique. Like, not always, but it's one of the draws that people definitely get into. That's hair. I don't have a big beard. Genetics got me with the big beard. How big is the dwarf army? Not big enough. I'll actually be able to do something in a couple of months. In a couple of months, I can sit down and get shit done. Because I'm sick of traveling to and from. I just want to be situated with my Warhammer, with my setup, and be able to do stuff. Yeah, he's coming to Toronto, yeah. What faction would you want to be in the Warhammer Fantasy setting or 40k setting? I mean, if you know me, come on. I think if you're in these settings, the most fun you could probably have would be, like, an orc. In terms of just being alive and doing something, probably an orc, but, like... No, you'd be a dwarf, dude. An orc's life would be very short, unless you actually did something with it. Like, you won your battles and... You know... survived. I mean, Votann are fine. I think the one thing I don't like about the Votann is they feel like they lack heart. Like, I know it's 40k, and 40k doesn't have a lot of heart behind it, but, like, when you have a race that's supposed to be dwarves, typical dwarves in other fantasy settings, although 40k, you know, it's its own thing, sure. Dwarves just have so much heart and so much, like, you know, kinship, and it's all about the family and the hold and, you know, being, like, exceptional craftsmen and artisans in their own fields and shit like that. The Votann are just... They're very 40k, they're very depressing still. It just doesn't... Something is missing from the Votann that makes me not enjoy them as much. And I think it is that. It's the heart. There's no heart to them. You know, sure, they fight for their cloning vats and their Votann, and, you know, oh, this is the will of the ancestors. We saw it on a piece of paper from a giant fucking robotic head. It's missing something. But they're cool. I think they're really cool. I'm good. Nurgle just really wants a friend. Nah, bro, if you're a... I wouldn't be part of any Chaos God. That is just not a fun time. I used to collect Chaos, except I was, like, Black Legion. If I had to devote to one god, it would probably be Khorne. Well, I mean, it's either you're crazy or you're going crazy, right? You worship Khorne and it's all over for the brain. You're just a berserker. Or you go to Nurgle and you never shower again. Or you go to Slaanesh and you stay on, like, deep web forums online. Or you go to Tzeentch and you end up working for the government. I'm already a chosen of Nurgle, IRL. Well, this is just a different enjoyment. League is a video game with a bunch of random people. This is something I've had since my childhood. You can't really compare the two. Like, I grew up with Warhammer. I didn't grow up with Depression and League of Legends. Well, it's better late than never, dude. I mean, Warhammer right now is at, like, the forefront of a lot of things. People are getting into the hobby, like, extensively as of late, which is good. But I will say, if it was 2 years ago, you've missed a bit. You missed a little bit. Nurgle almost guarantees that you'll win any fight you pick. What? You're going to win against a flamethrower? I mean, Nurgle is just like... Out of the 4 Chaos Gods, Nurgle is definitely the one where you probably will last a little bit longer. But, I mean, I don't know. I can't... How do you explain that? Right? Like, you don't feel pain and all this other shit, and it's like, your body's falling apart, but you're alive. Are you even living? It just sounds horrible and not fun. I don't think I'm down. I don't think I'm down for anything Chaos. Chaos is not for me. Gundams? No, I don't really mess with Gundams. I've seen what people do with them, and it's pretty cool, but this is kind of my hobby outlet. I prefer, like, the fantasy stuff instead of the big mechs. You know, big, giant... What is Gundam? Japanese? Like, big, giant robots from Japan, it's just not really my thing. I like the idea of, like, the dioramas with them as, like, display pieces, but I don't look at a mech and think it's cool. It's just not really my thing. But I can understand, like, the artistry and everything that goes into it, because, I mean, it's like Warhammer, right? Except it's a giant mech. You could try YouTube, you could try the wiki, you could try the Games Workshop website. If you're talking about, like, basic 40k entry, Warhammer Fantasy entry, stuff like that, your best bet's probably YouTube. Like, watch a YouTube video on the lore. Watch a YouTube video on the factions. If something is appealing, then maybe look into, like, the miniatures on a website or two. A lot of people get into Warhammer, but then they're necessarily not into the miniatures, you know? Because this is kind of its own beast. You can read something and enjoy it, but, like, do you actually want to sit down and scrape pieces of plastic for hours on end? That's kind of the big kicker. If you like physical hobbying, this is good, but... Oh, I mean, there are games you could play. I would say if you want to wait for a 40k game, you're better off doing that than trying to buy one that's out right now. Like, if you're not going to go back to day one Dawn of War, I would just say wait for Space Marine 2. If you want to really get into Warhammer 40k, when Space Marine 2 comes out, you're going to be hooked. Like, I don't even care about Space Marines or even enjoy 40k as much as I used to. But I played Space Marine 1. Sick game. Space Marine 2 is just like that on crack. It looks so good. The graphics, the gameplay, the scale of everything, because, like, the number one thing when it comes to 40k and fantasy and all these made-up universes, especially when they're so expansive, is how do you capture the scale of something when there's a billion things happening, right? Because there are, like, I don't think you can kill all of them, but, like, you look at a video of Space Marine 2, and it's like, you're a Space Marine, you've got shitty little guardsmen around you, and there's hundreds, if not a few thousand Tyranids on the screen all at once. That's the scale you need for 40k, right? Tyranids don't show up in twos. Like, these aren't the, what are they, lictors? Or whatever the hell they are, that they come down and scout the planet. Like, you've got hordes of these things barreling down towards you, right? Shit like that is cool. Gives you a better idea of, like, how the universe actually is and how battles can be fought if it were real. Like, again, I'm not really a big fan of 40K or Space Marines, but that's a game you cannot miss. Like, I would even say you can kind of miss Dark Tide. Like, Rogue Trader, people liked. I haven't seen much of it, so I can't say anything on it, but don't miss Space Marine 2. Absolutely not. Pretty sure it's supposed to come out at the end of the year. Something like that. Well, I would imagine. I mean, Space Marine 2 is supposed to come out at the end of last year, was it not? And then it got pushed back substantially. Am I wrong? For a game like that, though, you don't want to rush it. Because now that Warhammer's in the spotlight and Warhammer's kind of pushing itself into the mainstream, you don't want to provide shitty products. If this is your first time hearing about Warhammer, you don't want another Dawn of War 3. You want another Dawn of War 1, right? Just in the form of Space Marine. That's what you want. They already provide shitty products through Warhammer Plus. I'm still subscribed to Warhammer Plus. I'm going to sell those miniatures. I don't do anything with them. I get them for free. No, I didn't see the new Dune. Well, certain countries don't really have Warhammer communities because they're just not, like, there's no Warhammer in the country, right, at all. Like, here in Canada, we have a pretty decent Warhammer scene. North America in general, pretty good. For Warhammer, not for anything else. No, I got like the Orc War Boss, and then I got something else. I'm never going to use them. I'll most likely, when I do a giant purge of old Warhammer that I don't want, it'll probably be sold. I'd rather have it go to people who are going to do it instead of just it sit in my storage and do nothing. Looks like a Dowie beard, did it really? It's a sad beard, though. Those are typically pretty long. The internet does save hobbies because, again, the internet brings people together. It's like, as much as you dislike large parts of the internet, which you can't be blamed for, it brings people together. Like, hobby groups of any kind, groups of, like, collecting groups, hobby groups, weird niche things that, like, people in your area probably aren't into, but other people are around the world. Like, you need communities like that online to kind of have these things flourish, right? Like, you just need to find the right people and then talk to those people, right, about what you like, because they all like the same thing. You typically want to go... You typically want to be around people who have similar interests, right? Like, if you love elves and you come to this stream, I don't think I could ever offer you anything that would make you feel like you're at home. Outside of maybe it just being Warhammer, you know? Like, if you love dwarves, okay, we can talk, right? Or just the hobby in general or anything like that, so... Like, there's so much to this hobby that there's almost, like, an infinite supply of content. It's just a matter of knowing all of it, because there's so much. That's the hard part. Warhammer's... And I did see that with Warhammer being in Call of Duty. That's kind of a crazy thing, if you think about it. It's like, how many fucking normies... I'm just going to call them normies. How many normies have played Call of Duty for so long, but, like, know of nothing else? It's cool to see it hit the mainstream, but, like, we'll see what becomes of it. I love elves. I have nothing to tell you. I have got nothing to say to you, sir. This guy loves elves, too. See, what do I say to that? I don't think there's a single elven thing in this room or in my life. They aren't dwarf-pilled. Yeah, my girlfriend likes elves. She's like, oh my god, the elves, they're so, like, pristine and they're clean. And they have, like, the nicely tailored suits, and they're so clean-shaven, and their hair is done, and they're just perfectly, like, they just exist, and there's no flaws. And I'm over here like, bro, dwarves are Giga Chad because they sleep in dirt, and they're covered in, like, grime and grit, and they're disgusting and stinky and hairy, but they get shit done, and they're family men. They take care of their own before anything else. Like... It's just the complete opposite. Well, I mean, for a community to succeed, it needs people. You can't really have something be super niche because then it won't grow, you know? Does anyone really, like, would anyone be upset if Warhammer got even more popular? You know? I'm sure some people would, but, like, come on. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I think the idea of... Well, that guy's also probably on drugs, but, you know. I think the idea is bring it to the masses, but don't dumb it down for the masses. You know, just because it hits the mainstream, don't start taking things away because, like, more people are involved and, oh, more people have to enjoy it, so let's, like, you know, make it a bit more tame. Like, that's the problem. Like, Warhammer doesn't really need to take drastic steps, you know, to bring it to the masses. Like, they're doing it, and it's awesome, and I don't see any problem. But, like, what if the Henry Cavill fucking 40K series comes out, and then the big higher-ups step in and they want to really dumb it down? Or something like that, you know? It just wouldn't feel very good. A game for everyone is a game for no one. I think there needs to be aspects of things that a lot of people can enjoy, but I know what you mean. Like, Warhammer is so vast that you're bound to find something you enjoy, but it doesn't take up the entirety of the universe, you know? Like, there's so many different things going on to where it can be for everybody, but in a more positive way. Does that make sense? Like, how many races of creatures and beings and factions and heroes and settings and different, like, environments, just everything about these universes. How do you not find something you like? How do you look at 40K and not find at least one thing, or even Warhammer Fantasy or Age of Sigmar? How do you not find at least something? Like, one thing? Like, you don't have to like it all, but I'm sure you like one thing. We have elves riding turtles and sharks. This hobby is everything. That's what I'm saying. It's like, how can you not find one thing? Elves riding sharks? Yeah, you don't know the, what are those guys called again? They're not the Lumineth. The Lumineth are the ones above. Those are like the high elves. The Ideneth Deepkin. Yeah, that's what they are. I don't know, man. Warhammer's just cool, and it has a lot of things for a lot of people, which is nice. Because the last thing you want is less people getting into the hobby. That's it. You want more people involved. You want a community. You want people to just come together and fucking create things and play games and enjoy what you enjoy. Like, what's wrong with that? Well, yeah, that was kind of the weird kicker with, like, the Ideneth. Like, the Ideneth elves, they're, aren't they, like, soulless things that they go reap the souls of something for some reason? I'm not big on the lore, specifically for the Ideneth. But people were gatekeep. Well, people gatekept Warhammer because, like, I don't know, man. Like, the more the merrier. That's all I'm gonna say. I love fantasy, specifically fantasy. I love the classic stuff. You know, whatever they do in Age of Sigmar, that's not really my thing. But as long as you're not drastically changing everything for the sake of people, it's like you're good. How do you gatekeep Warhammer? What does that exactly mean? There's people gatekeeping Warhammer the Old World. What does that mean? How do they do that? 40K should be the biggest community of gatekeepers, yeah, for sure. 40K is like so much more greasy, so much more try-hard. It's like you'll have douchebags everywhere, but more douchebags in 40K. 40K is the largest, yeah. People not wanting to play with legacy factions. Well, that's just brain damage. Like, I don't think there's any way to work around that. That's just brain issues if you don't want to play a game against someone because they're not playing an army that's, like, currently being sold. I think shit like that is so rare, though. It's like, when would you ever hear of someone gatekeeping legacy armies, especially in a physical store? Right? Like, you'll find a bunch of idiots online. Like, I remember playing Tabletop Simulator so many times and having so many losers. Like, you'd think it was League of Legends. Honestly, that's how many people there were. Just super assholes or, like, degenerate weird people. You know, typically if you're in a store, that's not as common, but online it's like rampant. It's like, I don't know, man. Especially for a game that's just a tabletop. Like, shouldn't tabletop gaming be fun and not really have that many weirdos? Like, for God's sake, you're rolling dice. Come on. People online feel like they can get away with much more. I don't know, man. I would imagine if you're playing a game of Warhammer, you just want to enjoy yourself. Like, unless you're explicitly in a tournament, and that tournament requires you to be, like, a loser. Well, not a loser, but you know what I mean? Like, super tryhard. You know, you're at a tournament, and you're here to win, and everything else is bullshit. Like, makes sense. But for me, it's... I was never a fan of tournaments. A little bit of a setting that I'm not interested in. But, you know, to each his own. This is part of a helicopter. I had to replace a few bits, so I'm just cleaning them again. Chances are I won't even finish before I leave. Yeah. I think gyros are, what, $60 each? Warhammer pricings are never about how they perform in game, obviously. So, like, you can have a thing that's worth so much money, and it's just the worst pile of shit in game. But that's fine. I'm just saying. It's more of a fun thing to look at on the shelf, you know? Porcelain, that's pretty cool. And there's a lot of cool people out there who paint whatever in, like, really cool ways. Whether on accident or not, like, it's always really cool. Well, this is Devin Townsend, so this guy's like every genre of music. Devin Townsend is very good. It's like, man, I really love death metal. It's like, okay, well, he doesn't really do death metal, but he'll do a bunch of weird shit, and you'll like it. Oh! 4 days in a row, $10. Riot, thank you. Thank you so much. Maybe I should have donator of all time, and you'll be there with $40. Thanks, buddy. Your name is so long, it like drags into the bits. Thank you. Wait, new Scalmold? What do you mean, like recently new, or the last album new? That's not new. There's no way it's new. Nah, it's not new. I thought you meant there was like a new single out or something. Nah, I've heard that album. Yeah, the new one was good. Trust me, I listen to those albums the day they're out, repeatedly. I'm like furiously waiting for the fucking Dread Crew album because that is my most anticipated album of like years. I'm expecting it to be a 10 out of 10. Especially the medley at the very end, which every album has. That's super fucking good. It's just going to sound so good. Super, super good. All the songs they've released so far, like the 3, Leathership, Lawful Evil, and Give Me Your Beer. Give Me Your Beer was more of like a filler song, but it was fine. Like, the other 2 were amazing. But that one was fine. So I'm pretty excited. I've already heard Locomotive Death, which is another one of their songs, because they did a live performance. I think, like, during COVID, they did a live performance on YouTube, and they played 2 songs from the album, which was Locomotive Death and then Leathership. And you would hear them during the live performance, and it was like, fuck, that's good. And then they get released, and like the studio quality and the mixing and everything, and it just sounds so good. And you're like, man, this is even better. Yeah, 8 years since their last album. Almost 10 years without music from them. And they come out with like really good songs. Super good songs. Like, none of their songs sound the same, and they all have personality. Each song is, like, very distinct. Favorite medley? I don't know. They're all good. This is a gyrocopter. Well, Windrose might put out another album this year. I mean, they seem to be touring, so maybe not this year, maybe next year. Chaos Demons. I'm not going to lie. I think Chaos Demons are probably, like, third-wheeling most things. Chaos Demons are, to me, the afterthought of Chaos, right? Like, if you were to get into Chaos, you'd probably get, like, the Marines and all that crap, or in Fantasy, you get the Warriors. The Demons, to me, are like the Beastmen. They're kind of wheeling in with Chaos, but they're not really a main focus, usually. But I think they're cool. And that's just my opinion. Like, who gives a shit, right? If you like them, you like them. They're cool. I just think they need more, they need something to bring them to, like, the forefront, you know? Because these guys are just, oh, yeah, you're playing Chaos? Oh, I got some demons, too. Okay. Yeah, demons aren't typically popular. At least from what I've seen. And again, that's not a problem. It's just my thoughts. Well, yeah, you wonder why they're not popular, right? I don't know how many people power game in 40K, but you either like the demons for how they look, which is rare, or they're really strong, which is probably rare. You know? At the end of the day, I love dwarves because they're cool as shit. I love the lore. I love the aesthetic. I love everything. I don't care if they're good. I don't care if they're bad. The game can blow me. I just love the dwarves, and that's the one thing I focus on. Like, this is a very visual hobby. You know, you at least want to love what you're looking at when you're making it or when you're playing with it. Well, that's what I was saying. Demons feel like they're overshadowed by, like, the chaos, right? They feel like a second wheel, third wheel. Like, they're not shoehorned into it, but when you think of evil, when you think of chaos, you don't think of the demons initially. It's like the Space Marines, Abaddon, so on. Hard time killing things. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't played 40K in so long, but I feel like what are the demons even good at doing? What is their number one gimmick? What's their shtick? What are demons meant to do in game? I mean, people do find interests in the weirdest shit, right? Like, do you know anyone who loves the Beastmen? How many people do you know love Beastmen versus, like, the Empire? Or, oh my god, I love the Gene Stealer cults versus, oh my god, I love Space Marines, you know? I mean, I'm just saying, they're cool, but they're definitely niche. I would even say demons feel more niche than them, because I never hear anything about demons, but it's cool that people play a different army, you know? Different things, and it'd be very boring if everyone played the same thing. Like, you can have things that are much more popular, but you need diversity. People love ogres, yeah. I think ogres are pretty alright, like the ogre mercenaries and stuff like that. I'm not really a big fan of, like, the traditional ogre tribes, you know, and what they do. I like the outcasts. I think they're fun to see in, like, Empire armies or Dwarven armies and whatnot as, like, hired guts. It's like, listen, if you help us with this battle, we will give you food. Hell, you can eat them. I don't care. The ogre lady mini. Yeah, it's like the ogre with, like, the goatee, but it has like a skirt and like a rolling pin. Yeah. I mean, there's space dwarves. It's like, you know, dwarves. Ogren. Well, I mean, people like Ogren until like they get upset and then smash your head in, like they're, you know, popping a balloon. The older Ogren sculpts were some of my favorites. I think the plastic Ogren they have now with like the Bulgrin and the regular Ogren, those are pretty cool, but I remember having the blister pack Ogren and even the Ogren before that, where they had like the goblin green bases and they came on square bases and they looked like I don't even know what the hell they looked like. They were just weird. Because all Ogren are just like fantasy ogres in space. Everything in 40k is kind of like a rip on fantasy anyways, right? It's like, what if we took fantasy and put it into space? Where everything is like 10 times more depressing. Well, I mean, aren't Ogrins supposed to be like trained to some degree? But they still have to be talked to like they're a fucking toddler. I mean, the Emperor does not discriminate, bro. He's working with ogres. And they're fine because they're like abhuman. They're not like straight up mutants. I don't know. One thing that annoys me in 40k is how much attention Space Marines are getting. Meanwhile, Eldar are stuck with disgusting models. Well, when you've got 5 Eldar fans and 500,000 Space Marine fans, I mean, yeah, that's how that works. Listen, I love dwarves and I love classic dwarves. I haven't seen a new classic dwarf miniature since the death of fantasy. All right? So, the Eldar players, you guys can wait a little longer. All 5 of you. Like, the Caradron Overlords, the fucking, like, Fire Slayers, those guys, they don't really do anything for me. Some of the aspects about them are cool, but not like, entirely my thing. Well, Lizardmen seem to have been... I think Lizardmen should be a fan favorite, no? It's like dinosaur fucking people, right? Like, that's pretty cool. That live in, you know, the rainforest, the jungles. And they have giant fucking, like, alien toads that kind of guide them through life for the great plan. Like, they're weird. I did see the rumor engine, yeah, with the Dwarven Axe. Well, we are guaranteed to get a new release for the old world when it comes to dwarves. We are getting something. Every single faction that is getting re-released for the old world will be getting a release. Absolutely. I mean, I personally didn't think it looked like a Votann axe, but that's just me. the coils of it, but it seems so like... Nah, to me it looked fantasy. To me it looked a little fantasy. I think for the Votann it'd be a little bit more high-tech. Even just slightly. I looked at... I don't think it's Votann. We could be wrong, though. You never know. They can debate you with this stuff. Plastic sprues. Plastic parts is what we're cooking. It's a helicopter. We're building a helicopter. Well, the one thing I haven't noticed in all of these old world releases is there are no characters. Have you seen a single character get released with the new minis? A named character? I don't think we have. Oh, Nakap? Was that a named character, really? Is that the guy on the giant, like, dragon thing? Did he have a name? Really? They had names? Maybe I'm Delulu. Oh, really? He had a name. I guess I wasn't paying attention. Maybe I haven't looked at those releases since I've seen them in the preview. No, I haven't fucked with those. I don't really paint often. No, that's just cast in plastic. Yes, those are Cetra's many titles. I mean, okay, well, if we've given characters to each faction, then yeah, we probably will get a named dwarf character. Like the High King, maybe, but who knows? I think with this line, actually, for the dwarves, they wanted to focus on, like, very specific holds. They're not going to give you young Thorgrim. No way. That's a bit too goofy. I don't think you're going to get youngins of, like, the Dwarf Lords. You're probably going to get something you haven't seen before. Something that is alive and existing, but not something that's, like, bound to grow up. Who knows? I mean, maybe. Nobody knows. Maybe. I guess anything's possible until we see what happens. When they finally decide to show us, then we'll know. That could be something. They'll figure out a way to get your money. That's the number one thing Games Workshop's good at doing. I fucking hate this company. I fucking hate the CEOs. I fucking hate supporting these guys. Fuck Games Workshop. Oh my god, is that another Space Marine captain? Or lieutenant, rather? I gotta buy 50. I fucking hate Games Workshop. Fucking prices are so ridiculous and everything sucks. But I will get another lieutenant. Is it not a meme at this point with how many lieutenants have been released? Isn't that kind of the point of the lieutenants? It's like you get one and then you get 50? I mean, I wouldn't mind dwarf miniatures that way. I don't think I'd be complaining. Well, I mean, there's just so many of them. It's like, you do, there's quite a few Space Marines. I don't know, man. Listen, I'm a Games Workshop fanboy. They created my favorite universe. They have my favorite fantasy race. It's my childhood. Like, I am destined to be a fanboy until the day I die. Well, 40k Total War would be great, but that's like light years away. That's a little bit of a ways away. Rubio. Well, 40k Total War would be different planets for sure. They'd have to have some sort of system where, like, you'd be able to go to different planets as well to fight, kind of like in Dawn of War, like Dark Crusade. Well, now that he's in charge of the whole shebang, I don't think he's going to be forced to do anything he doesn't want to do, especially if it's not faithful to the universe. When you have such a fanboy in charge of like the dream project, the something he holds near and dear to his heart, and he's in charge, I don't think it's going to be bad. I mean, Dawn of War 1 being remade would be interesting, but like, I think I'd rather see a Total War, personally. I think Total War would do it better. Just my thoughts, though. The scale of Total War is just so good for Warhammer. Like, I grew up on the Dawn of War games, but I'd rather have Total War than, like, Dawn of War. Money is money, for sure, they do. But, I mean, don't you want to make something faithful to Warhammer? Balance? Not, I mean, well, you say balance, and then you look at Warhammer Total War, and you've got dwarves and fucking, like, helicopters with cannons, with flamethrowers and grenade launchers and rocket launchers. The Empire has tanks. and they're fighting like literal savages throwing shit and stones at them. Like, you could balance it. It's a little bit crazier in 40K for sure, but like they were able to balance dwarves versus whoever in the other game. You know? The one thing I thought of, if you ever were to make a 40K Total War, you need you 100% need terrain to be kind of a big gameplay feature. Right? 1 month from it, yeah, that's cool. I'll be playing it. If terrain isn't a big gameplay feature in a 40K Total War game, you're fucked. Like, you need trenches and buildings and ruins and all this other shit and, you know, lush green areas to hide in. And, you know, it should still be on a massive scale, but, like, I don't think everyone's just going to run into each other like they would in Total War and be like, I'm here to kill you. Like, the Tau will never do that. The Tau will situate themselves, fucking corner camp you like a bunch of scrubs. But that's what they do. What else would you do? Maybe you do like the Kroot Rush as a gimmicky cheese build. Yeah, like, that'd be so cool. Like, you have a bunch of guardsmen sitting in trenches doing 0 damage. It'd be very thematic. Well, I don't think so. I think you could do it. I think you could make the balance good. I think if you really tried, you could do it. And then at that point, I think if they did do Warhammer Total War, like 40K, it would be Warhammer's greatest game. Nothing could top a 40K Total War game. Like, for me, it's all about the fantasy. I would always prefer Warhammer Fantasy over 40K, but, like, I think realistically it would be the greatest game Warhammer would ever have. I don't think there's much info. No, I don't think so. I think when it comes to, like, Cavill's series, it's very kind of like under lock and key. Like, you don't really hear much about it. I don't think any information comes out about it. Fuck, even half the time I think they're not even working on it. Right? Like, when's the last time you've heard information about Cavill's 40K show? I haven't heard of anything in forever. Like, I haven't seen a screenshot. I haven't seen a word. I don't know what's going on with it. A Space Marine could be a single entity unit balance-wise. That'd be terrible. What about the squads of them? I think you would still have squads, but you'd be realistic with it. Because the game doesn't need to be 100% real. It just needs to be close enough, right? Because when you have characters in Total War Warhammer, like, they take a shit ton of hits before they go down. You'll shoot cannons at a guy, and he'll tank like 30 of them before he dies. If you wanted to make it completely realistic, he would be dead instantly. So, like, you could still have the game balancing in effect, right? Well, because the thing about a 40K Total War is that it would be the most ambitious Warhammer game ever created, and for that reason, it would probably, again, be the best. But the issue is, how do you capture 40K in one video game and have it be so grand in scale? You know, because the last time we had seen a 40K game that was grand in scale was, like, early 2000s with Dawn of War. And that still didn't do the best it could have, but like it was perfect for the time. Um, that sounds about right. I think I've seen people like there was a guy who was doing a fucking basketball stunt with like a very expensive rare drone, and he instantly fucked up and it like blew up. Anything for clout, bro. Anything for clout. Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that was. It's gone now. We haven't seen anything regarding it, but that was weird, eh? It was very, very weird. Someone had donated a weird satanic message, and it was like cursing me in fucking Latin, and then the power went out. The power flickered off and on. My PC like shut down and then turned back on instantly, and I didn't even disconnect. Fucking weird. Super weird. I'm not even kidding. Like actual invocation from like Slanesh. Looked like something out of a fucking James Wan movie. Paranormal Activity. Yeah, it didn't throw me offline. My whole PC turned off and turned on, and I was still online, and I was still streaming and playing the game. It should be on the other channel. You should be able to see it. Or if someone has the link, they can send it to you. I think we were also talking about Taylor Swift and everyone on Twitter who thinks she's a Satanist. Something along those lines, and then that happened, so I'm like, yeah, we won't be talking about that again. I've learned my lesson. I think I'm okay now. I think I'm good now. Yeah, I need to bless my machine. I gotta bring in some weird robot priest man to, like, feel up my fucking computer. Yeah, well, there's no links in chat for obvious reasons, because I can't trust everyone, but... Bro, the last thing I want to do is call anyone for help. Calling anyone for help in 2024, that counts as, like, consultation, instant $50 gone. Only 50? True. I guess I'm being generous. You know, the number one thing is if you have people in your family who are very good at specific things and you can ask them for help, that's the most ideal scenario, but not the most real one. Like, if you've got electricians and all this shit in your house, like, or not your house, but your family, that's good. Bro, you think they're going to add Crag the Grim. Crag the Grim, there's no way Crag the Grim is coming in because he'd just be a better Thoric. Crag will never be there because that would replace Thoric. Cazador would be there. Grim Burlixon 100. Grim Burlixon should be there. I know it's on the table, but like, what would you do with Crag the Grim? If you bring in Crag the Grim, you bring in Rune Golems. You want to talk about old school boomer shit? Like, he comes in with the fucking stone golems that are infused with, like, runic magic, and that would be sick. Or, like, shard dragons for, like, the runic collars that they made way back when. That could be something. No, it's just DLC for Total War. Joseph Bugman, Malachi McCason, and Grim Burlixon, and maybe Cazador, those four, I think are believable. That would be legit. Like, you're not going to get all four, obviously, but it doesn't make sense to have Bugman's Rangers with no Bugman. And Grim Burlixon can also be, like, a Thunderer's buffer and, like, you know, cannons and all that other crap, so... Well, yeah, you're not going to get him. That's like mod material. Barden Gorikson with Cousin Okri. Damn, legendary heroes. I'd fuck with that. That'd be cool. He's real. His cousin was real the whole time. He's not a schizo. Cousin Okri's just like some fucking slayer. He's a Doomseeker. He's got like the Kratos blades on him. Spins around like Garen, insta-killing everybody. And then it's like he took the Slayer Oath because Barden told so many tall tales about him and he couldn't be all of them. So he felt too much shame and he just became a Slayer. That's like very typical dwarf mentality. Yeah. No, that's not true. I'm just saying. My cousin told so many tales about me and I'm none of them. Everyone expects too much of me. I will become a Slayer. No, that would be stupid. It's just like... It's goofy. Goofy goof. All right, I got about 9 more minutes here and I gotta go, folks. So we'll leave it at hour and a half. This is the secret dwarven shank. You hide it under your thumb. When someone comes around shit-talking your ancestors, you just flip it out. Even though it's part of a helicopter. Exactly. Wasn't there this stupid fucking video on Discord? I gotta open up Discord for a sec. Somebody had linked a very old video. It might have been... Was it Quinplank? Did you link that stupid video of, like... It's an old meme of dwarves, and it was, like, supposed to be something with grudges. Just kind of reminded me of that video. What is this? Oh, it wasn't. I guess it's so stupid. Never mind. It wasn't him. What a stupid meme. Okay. Call of Duty Warhammer mod over Total War Warhammers any day. True. Scissors. What, this guy? It's a dwarf warrior. A dwarf. Norse dwarves. Yeah, I mean, those are a thing in Warhammer as well. They live up in the wastes. Or I think like right outside the wastes, I'm not sure. Well, I haven't really finished any miniatures in years just because of living conditions and all these other things going on. The only thing I had finished recently was this. As just kind of a for fun thing. Just like paint something just to paint something, you know? It was supposed to be based on... it was based on the... It was like an old book. It was my childhood book. Of... You know, this like green and yellow colored dwarves from Lord of the Rings. Just for fun. It looks aight. I could do better, but, you know. I thought it was cool. I don't really paint too often because I don't have that much time, but that was like the only mini I've painted in years outside of one other. The green is cool. I mean, I wanted to base it on, let me show you. Is the book here? Oh, there it is. Ooh. So this book, this is my childhood. My childhood, instead of Pokemon, was this. Giga Chad. This is a Lord of the Rings supplement for the downfall of Moria, or Khazad-dûm. And in this book, they went over kind of like... this is so classic. So that was kind of the inspiration. Just like to be able to paint something from my childhood. Because I remember reading through this book almost every day going to school or going to a baseball like game because I used to play softball. All this shit. When did this come out? 2003. So I've had this for ages. I love it. It's so cool. Damn. Badass. That's sick. I mean, we all know what happens to the dwarves of Khazad-dûm, so, like, unlucky, but... Where was it? It was kind of inspired by this, right? The shields are a little darker for some reason, but, like, the tunics and all that crap, yeah. Pretty cool. Yeah, there was Barrow Wights in here. I mean, this was a supplement book, right? So they had, like, the Barrow Wights against Tom Bombadil and fucking Goldberry, whatever the hell her name was. They had ones with, like, the elves. The only thing I cared about, like, this was skip, 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 skip. Gushing over this shit. They have Balin's Tomb. When the Fellowship goes in, they had this page. Damn, look at those Giga Chads. Damn, they look stinky as hell. What a bunch of nasty-looking dwarves. It's like Trick 2G at the ripe age of 50. Dwarven runes, or like in Warhammer, it's all Khazalid. Different armor, different patterns like Gimli's axes. It's just a cool book, man. Like, so cool. As a kid, your imagination just goes wild. Yeah, this is where he gets shot, Balin at Miromir. Unlucky. The arrow pierces him and he's dead. These. Like, seeing this as a kid, this is so fucking cool. Isn't that badass? Like, as an adult, you're like, man, I've seen so many dioramas. But, like, if you're a kid, holy shit. That is so sick. I think they even had, like, a bigger, yeah. Well, not only as a kid, it's still awesome. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, like, as a kid, you were more infatuated with, like, things like this, I suppose. So badass. Like, this is what I wanted. I wanted to make a diorama of this as a kid and just have it in my room. It was so sick. Anyways, yeah. Childhood stuff. Cool. The same with the Hero Quest tabletop. Just looking at the packaging. It brings you back, man. It does bring you back. Good memories. Lord of the Rings is cool. Yeah. I mean, okay. One more thing from my childhood that I still have. Where is it? Is it here? Is it here? Let me go find it really quickly. Is it? Where is it? Where is it? Is it in here? Where'd it go? It's here somewhere, I just can't find it. It's kind of sad. Is that it? No. Yeah, it's gone. It's here somewhere in this room, but I just can't find it. Oh, there it is. Is that it? No. Oh, well. Nah, the Lord of the Rings stuff, man, it's so good. Super cool. It's like, it's kind of fantasy light, I suppose, but it's Lord of the Rings, man. Lord of the Rings is awesome. I was looking for an old box. I keep my boxes. It was like the one box set that sealed the deal for like dwarves and Lord of the Rings miniatures. Can't find it. It's here somewhere. I'm actually getting like pissed off. I can't find it. Damn it! Yeah, it's here somewhere. It's in the room. Yeah. When I get off stream and I go look for it, like for 1 second, I'll find it. I don't see it anywhere. Nope. Nowhere. Okay. No, this is a kit. This is like a sprue that's cast in plastic. With a Gimli cutout. It's a life-size cardboard Gimli cutout that sits on the back of my door. I had purchased it so long ago, and it's been sitting in my storage. And I'm like, why the fuck haven't I opened this thing? It was like $20. Forces of evil army, but I cannot lie. Dwarves are tempting. See, now you just want to make me go find the thing. Let me go find it real quick, because I have to leave very soon, and I at least want to show you. I want to show you what got me into dwarven miniatures, if I can find it. Oh, there it is. I found it. Yes. This right here. If this doesn't get you into dwarven miniatures, specifically for like Lord of the Rings, I don't know what will. So, for context, they had this at every Games Workshop way back when. It's like a large portion of it is fantasy, a large portion of it is 40K. The smallest section in a Games Workshop was always Lord of the Rings. And you may think like, man, Lord of the Rings, such a sick franchise, it's so big. It just didn't sell as well as the other two, I suppose. But I remember walking around in the Games Workshop, and this is the coolest box set for dwarves, in my opinion. Because it's like childhood memories. But it was Balin and his Khazad Guard, which are like his bodyguards. For me, this was so iconic. Like, I don't know, like, it's just cool, man. It's so cool. Came out in what, 2003? 2003. Everything about it, just like the architecture in the back, the fucking like dirty, you know, the gray stony bases, like the color scheme for the dwarves, like it's just so cool. Yeah, these minis haven't aged. No, I'll play the GP skin later tonight, maybe if I'm not busy. Yo. Datuma, thank you, man. No, this channel is pretty much like this PC. Everything is logged into this PC, It's just a matter of if I'm here, can I work on it, so on and so forth. But I was going to say, in a few months, I should be here, like, every day after the main stream. Everything here is still on sale. You can still purchase this stuff to like, right now. The Khazad Guard you can buy. You can still buy Ballin. The Dwarven Warriors you can't buy anymore because they're, like, older metal sculpts. They've been replaced with plastics. But, like, this shit hasn't aged a day. It hasn't aged a single day in, what, 22 years? 21 years. "21 years. This shit hasn't aged a day." Beautiful, timeless sculpts. There were way back when it was like Battle for Middle-earth. Yeah. But yeah, we're good, Datyamut. We're leaving very soon, probably in the next... I'll give it like 5 more minutes. Then I gotta go. Well, those were sculpted by the Perry brothers, who were twins. They were like older, like British. They were twins, and I think they've been at Games Workshop forever. I think now they own their own company, Perry Miniatures or something. But like, their work on the Lord of the Rings stuff was amazing. Again, it's timeless. It looks fresh, like it could be released today. You know. It's really, really cool. Why did you buy a small t-shirt? There's no way that thing's gonna fit. What the fuck? You know what I have here? Have you seen the canvases? Look at that. It's like a little wooden canvas print. It's kind of dusty, but it looks pretty cool. I remember we had, like, this initial idea was kind of done, but I wanted to add certain things to it. Like, I wanted to make people burning alive. Like, oh, it's so horrible, but, like, this is a horrible man. And then I think we also added, like, a different hat shape with the TF icon. This was really well done. Like, the edits look perfect, and the actual image looks perfect. I gotta put it somewhere. I think I was gonna give these away, though, in a giveaway. I was gonna sign them and then send them to people eventually when I can situate myself here. I love seeing you express your joy in your hobbies. Listening to you while working is therapeutic. Well, I gotta go soon, man. I have to clean because I have to leave tomorrow. Thank you, though, buddy. I mean, look, everything can bring you joy in life, except the number one thing that will always bring you joy in life, unless your childhood was terrible, is your childhood. Something that you loved growing up with, and it's still present in your today's life, is, like, amazing. If that's possible, it's huge. And, like, the number one thing that I grew up with that is still with me today is Warhammer and dwarves and pirates and all that crap. There's just, it's in different forms, you know, like, you grow up going to see fucking weird, what was it called? Was it Disney World? I think way back when in Disney World they had, like, Snow White and the Seven Dwarves and all these, like, Disney's pirates and all this shit, you know. It kind of, like, plants that memory in your head, and then you can kind of think of it later on in life if you even remember it, and you're like, damn, that brought me so much joy, and here we are 30 years later. So, it's good, man. Like, nostalgia is not everything, but it can bring you to a place where things might have been a little bit better, you know? Yeah, this is a scalpel or something. X-Acto blade. Was there a question about the DSLR? Hang on. Are you going to stream League with the DSLR face cam? What? Talk about a waste of money. Hell no. If you're using a $1,000 camera to show your face on a League of Legends stream, that's like mental issues. No way. It's like your face cam is a higher quality than the game. That's a little weird. Like, no, the DSLR is going to be replacing this camera, and I plan on bolting it to, like, the ceiling/wall, and it's going to hang down here, or maybe be, like, behind me, really zoomed in, but, like, high quality. Because the number one problem with this setup for me personally is the quality isn't as good, and everything's kind of in the way. Like, this microphone kind of needs to sit in, like, near me because I have to speak. But this thing, I bump my head, I bump the fucking blade into it. There's, like, the light here. There's another light here. There's an arm on the table for the microphone. There's an arm on the table for a camera. It's kind of just too much. And I don't have that much space. Like, what you see on my desk is pretty much my setup, right? Like, it ends slightly past this, and it ends slightly past this. So it's not the biggest desk, but for the most part, it kind of gets the job done for now. I thought about going to IKEA and maybe buying, like, a taller desk would be nice. Something like $60. Because I do need to rework this room quite a bit. Recommendations for getting into Warhammer? I mean, try, like, YouTube. If you want to know anything about anything, YouTube first. Right? Like, who are the people, like, who are the races at play in the universe? Like, what the fuck is an orc? What the hell is a Votan, etc. Do a bit of research on YouTube. Figure out what resonates with you, and then maybe look into, like, the miniatures and stuff like that. Desks that elevate. Oh, like you can push them up and down with, like, a button? Maybe. Because, like, the idea is when I'm able to be here more often, I want to stream on this channel every day. And my posture right now in this chair is very uncomfortable. The chair is too big. I'm fucking fat and I can't even fit in this thing. The desk is too short. There's too many arms. It's cluttered on the table. So I do kind of want to update it a bit, right? And people did donate a shit ton of money. We had 3,000 USD in donations to fix a new camera and to also buy another PC. So that's, like, super generous, and that just motivates me to also upgrade, you know, other things that I can as well, right? So that's the goal. In a couple of months, when I can be situated, that is what we'll be doing. Also, I need to leave. I'm going to try and finish this, and then I got to go. Sit-stand desk is good. Make sure you soft mat. Yeah. I think the number one thing would be a taller desk. If I'm sitting straight, right? This is me sitting down right now. This is as low as the table goes. I guess it kind of works. Maybe it's me being weird. I don't know. I'd like to at least raise, like, being able to work up a little bit more would be nice. I'm not sure. I just don't have that much space. That you might. Thank you, man. Maybe it was a posture problem the whole time, and I'm coping with the desk, but I don't think I am. I'm not one with technology. I really don't like technology. I'm not going to lie. I feel like a dwarf. The newer the things, the worse they are. More money, more complicated. Listen, you sit in a chair and it's good. All these gaming chairs with these fucking squishy add-ons, like, they're nice, but they're too much sometimes. You just want to live a simple, peaceful life with, like, nothing too complicated. Fuck, for God's sake, okay, to be fair, having a new phone is extraordinary because I went from, like, a 2006 phone or something to a 2023 phone. That was the only jump I've ever had, and I could never go back. Outside of that, everything stays in the past. I don't even know what it was. It was like 2006 or 7 or something. It was a pile of shit. People had, like, iPods and Nanos and all that crap, and I was bringing in a fucking Walkman. Right? Like, I'm not even that old. I just feel old. I'm 27. I've just never been into, like, upgrading technology. Stuff like that is just not for me. Sit, stand, desk. I'll see. Because, I mean, if I was sitting situated like this and the desk was up here, that'd be awesome. Actually, that'd be really good. Because this is a bit too low. Well, box sets are... The reason behind box sets is that you typically get a better deal than you would if you bought everything separately. The problem with box sets is that you have so much to do, and people who get into Warhammer don't finish everything before they buy more. That is the number one trap with Warhammer, is that you don't finish what you buy before you get more. Right? Like, if you were someone who was to finish everything and then get more, your life would be so much better. But every single person who does Warhammer has a pile of shame. So just make sure if you buy something that you're kind of willing to finish it. You know, easier said than done, right? Like, I'm sure we all have many things that aren't finished. But yeah, just a thought. That's me with books. Yeah, but books look really cool, and they smell good. Well, my head's done growing. It's massive. It cannot grow any bigger. Like, I'm going through my backlog right now of things. My goal for this year, build one of everything I own that relates to dwarves. Like, I'm going to be selling all my orcs. I'll be selling all the Caradron. I'll be selling the Fire Slayers, things I'm not really passionate about, like I used to. I want to build one of everything. A gyrocopter, a gyro bomber, a squad of hammerers, a squad of dwarf warriors, a squad of thunderers, quarrelers. Just one of every kit and paint one of everything. More for display. And I've had all of these and more, much more. These are like all of the weird exclusive miniatures. It's not all of them, but it's the ones that I've cleaned up. So there's like Grombrindle the Pirate. There's Grombrindle the Vampire Hunter. There's the King on the Shield Bearers. I don't even know what this is. There's Grombrindle as like fucking Peter Jackson. There's Space Grombrindle. Like Bugman, 3 of them, Space Marine Grombrindle. Just a bunch of weird shit, you know? A lot of weird stuff. Pilot Grombrindle. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, it's very strange. Like, Tech Priest Grombrindle. But these are cool, and they look good on shelves, you know, if you do end up finishing them. So that's the goal. I want to build one of everything. Or I should say finish one of everything. Christmas tree ornament? Yeah, they do whatever. I mean, it's just something to enjoy and look at, which is always nice. Yeah, the shitty, that was such a scam. One year for Games Workshop, they ended up releasing Grombrindle. So every year, I believe Grombrindle's like, he's the white dwarf, you know, he's still around. They put him into different costumes. He's a pirate, he's a vampire slayer, he's a tech priest, he's a space marine. Every year they do something nice. One year they got so lazy, they took a plastic dwarf kit and they painted the beard white and then relabeled it as Grombrindle and sold it to you under that label. Like, it was kind of odd. I know I have the mini, but like, isn't that just lame? You kind of just repaint the dude's beard and then peddle it off as like, oh my god, it's Grombrindle. Or it's like, oh my god, it's just a generic dwarf slayer that's plastic. Like, you know? Yeah. I have it somewhere. Like, the actual labeled one, I have it, but... The fun of those minis was definitely seeing him kind of evolve into, like, different professions for fun. You know? Like... Anyways, I need to go. I have to leave. You won't see me tomorrow. You won't see me the next day. You won't see me for 3 months on this channel. I will be back. We're in March. I won't be back April. Won't be back May. I will be back in June. On this channel, come June, you will see me on here every day. Indefinitely. No more back and forth. No more, we're not streaming for 3 months. Every day. All right, folks. So, see you in June, or maybe July. You'll catch me on the main channel, like, as often as ever. I'll be back to streaming normally for 10 hours plus. But yeah, this channel is gone for a few months, and with that being said, everybody take care of yourselves. I'll see you on the main channel, or I'll see you not on the main channel. But yeah. You can't stop it. I'm gone. I have to leave. I really have to go clean. Folks, take care of yourselves. Be well. Go see your loved ones. Go eat good food, and continue enjoying your time. All right? Give me 2 seconds. I'm leaving. All right, guys. Peace, peace. Oh. Hey, $10 more. You're going to give me more money before I go? God bless you. Hey, thanks for the tenner again. Although, yeah, I do need to leave. See you in June, folks. Or tonight, I'll see you on the main... Okay, let me promise this. I'll see you on the main channel tonight because I do want to play Project Gangplank, which means I need to go clean for a few hours right now. You'll see me on the main channel today. Okay? I have to go. Peace, peace. Keep giving him money so he won't end.